gonna give you a little bonus points just for being here. On the like those 3 number questions you take, you get 15. Those that aren't here, they have to go back and watch the video and enter the numbers, and they get the 15 points. But I'm giving you guys 20 just for being here tonight. And we'll do that in a minute. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, Professor.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Okay. So hold on a minute. So say you want to raise your grade. Let's go back to modules 71. All the sections are the same. And in fact, the Zoom meetings have all 3 classes. So I'm going to go to grades here. Hopefully we don't. Yeah. I'm going to trust you to be confidential on this. Now, I don't know how it shows up on yours. I'm not really supposed to show this. So I'm going to do this way out here like this. That's not doing any good. Trying to prevent people from seeing too much. Well, anyway, don't. Actually, I should have done it like this. Okay. I don't know how it shows up on yours. I'm looking at the whole class thing. And, you know, it has your assignments in total, which is going to be the same. I don't know who's who. I guess you Google that, watch this and say, oops, I can see so-and-so's. We're in college. You know, I'm not intentionally showing anybody's grade, but I need to show you this. But these assignments right here, 3, 4, 5, you're not going to have anybody else at Valley, anywhere else to give you all these bonus points. I just like doing it because I want you to make the grade that you want to make, provided you do the work. I realize the tests are longer and they're more difficult, especially all those study guides you have to work. That takes forever. I realize that. So you know, you could have like a C test average and still get an A in the class. You might even have a D test average and get an A in the class. I don't want to encourage that, especially if you do all these bonus assignments. But I'm just going to briefly review this one once again. I've already done it a few times, but I'm going to do it again. We only have 8 people here tonight, so I bet some of these 8 people have already done it. This one right here, module 17.61. If you go to modules, go down to the bottom, and you click on that, it takes you to like a little quiz. There's sound bites throughout my Canvas site, little clicks, and it'll say, name that sound, or name that movie, or name that actor. It has nothing to do with nutrition, but I do it simply just to encourage you to navigate the site, and read about it, because there are links to nutrition. I had a couple of students figure out how to get all 24 points without even listening to any of the sounds or finding them. I'm going to show you once again. When you click on this, it takes you to this quiz. There's a bunch of links. Every time you find a sound, it'll take you to it. You can take this quiz up to 20 times. So if you I'm going to preview it. Some people have already done this. So you say you found a sound, on the home page there's a sound, and if you click it and play it, it's kind of funny. So it's one of these. And let's say you haven't found any sounds. You say, I just want to get all 24 points. The reason you can take it 20 times is there are 20 sounds. So I had students figure out, hey, I'm just going to go in and put the first answer for each one. There's 20 questions. One is worth 5. I forgot which one it is, but I'm going to click the first one on each one. I'm not going to read the question. I'm not even going to read the answer. I'm just going to put this on each one. Then after you do it, it'll say submit quiz. It will tell you which ones you got right and which ones you got wrong. Now, the ones that you got wrong, it's not going to tell you the correct answer, but the ones that you got right, what you do is you get a piece of paper and you write down, oh, question 1 was wrong, question 2 is wrong. I don't know, I'm just kind of guessing. Question 3, ooh, it was number 1. So you put number 3 and you put first answer or whatever. Just put, it's not A, B, C, D, just first. Then you're going to get 4 or 5 right. Remember, you can take it 20 times. So I'm going to take it again right there, and I'm going to put 2 for every question. I'm going to click the second answer on each one, except when I go to a question where I go, ooh, on question 3, it's supposed to be this one. I'm not going to change it to that because it'll be wrong. If I look at my test I've already taken, I wrote down, ooh, I need to make sure I put A on that one, or the first one. Then you submit it again, and then some of those will be right. And you say, now I'm gonna take it again and click the third one. And then some of those will be right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that's the most answers of any of them. 8 times is the most you could take it. And you'll have every answer right, even though you're allowed to take it 20 times. That's 324 points just for doing that. It takes about 15 minutes to actually do that. So going back to grades, that's how you get all these. This is a variant. I've only had one person in this class do it. This is worth 20. I have students that have like borderline A, borderline B, and they don't take any of these. These are bonus points. They cannot possibly count against you. Let's suppose you don't even want to watch the movie. The movies are good. I promise you. These are the kind of movies you will enjoy watching. But let's say you don't even watch it. Say, okay, I want to take this. Out of 0.1. Is that only worth 0.1? No, it's worth 20 points, but I have to assign 0.1 because that way I can know how many you got right. Like if it says 0.8, then you got 16 out of 20. So let's say I don't even watch the movie. I just want to say, I want to just guess. I wouldn't recommend that because you can only take it one time. There's a movie, it's really good. And question 1, so I'm going to go here and just guess. I think there's 10 questions, real simple. A lot of these are true, false. You have a 50-50 chance of getting it right. So let's say, go back to that. It'll take like 1 minute. And let's say I guessed them all and only got 4 right out of 10. Then that would say 0.4. And when I see a 0.4, I'm going to go back and give you 8 points. And that will not lower your grade. It'll raise it. Same thing with this one. That's another bonus point. This is very interesting. This definitely has to do with nutrition. It's about water memory. And this is about cannibalism. Not really. It's about starvation. It's an older movie. It's about 30 years old. Very interesting. That's worth out of 0.05, but yet that's worth 20 points. It's only 5 questions here. I mean, you could just go in and take the test and just guess it. You might get 1 or 2 right and you get some. I'm amazed that people leave these things blank. When you have time, take it, because that's 20, 25, 25, 20, it adds up. Like people here, I don't know names, yes, just the first letter. These are very good averages. You get an average like this, then you can kind of mess up on tests 4, 5, 6, 3, even the final, and you'll be in good shape. But I'm amazed, like, okay, this person has 77.79. If they take a couple of these, even without watching, just guessing, that'll go up to an 80. I can guarantee you that. And I'm just showing you that because that's free points. It's just for those that spend a little bit of time working on it. Let me go back to the meeting. Stop share a minute here. Okay, so I'll do all 5. Even if you don't want to watch them because the questions are easy. If you watch them, you'll get most of the questions. You might miss 1 or 2. You don't have to take a bunch of notes and write. I made the questions simple just by watching it. You'll say, oh yeah, that was pretty easy. But if you didn't watch it, you end up guessing most of it. But that's kind of the free points that you can get, all right? So we still have, test 3. I've added it to the module, test 3, 4, 5 in the final exam. I'm going to send a message to everybody in a few days. I usually do it after test 3, so we test. It's called what is called the 50% rule, and this is what I do. And I'm gonna go back to screen share. Okay, I still got it like this, so you can't see names. Now, when you get to the final exam, right here, it's worth 300 instead of 200. Like when it says 0, that's bonus points. There's still a couple more that's free 10 points just for filling out a little survey. That's worth 300. If you don't take it, you get 0%, and that'll drop you down a little bit. But I have a handful of people, more than that, especially here and here, maybe some of these others, I don't know, that when it comes to the final, if they don't take it and got a 0, it probably would drop them down to a B. However, if you choose not to take the final exam, now there are rules, there are ways to get around rules. Rules are only viable based upon the person's integrity. It's like a piece of paper contract. They're only viable based upon the person's honesty and integrity. I don't care what's written on paper or what contracts are written or whether it's in the law or whatever. It's just the integrity of people. So Valley has a rule that you cannot exempt anybody from the final. Okay, fine. So technically I can't exempt you. So if you choose not to take the final, then I'm not exempting you, but the lowest grade you will make will be 50%. That's called the 50% rule. The reason I do that is because random guessing and just knowing a little bit of the stuff is going to get you at least a 50. So if you don't take it, I'm going to enter 50%, not a 0. Canvas will win a 0, and I will change it to a 50. In fact, if you take it and make a 40, I'm actually going to raise it to a 50. So you can't possibly lower your grade to take it. But some people, they will have such a high average that if I enter 50%, like for example, by the time the grades are in, this person, whoever they are, it might drop them down to like a 93, maybe a 93, 94. Valley doesn't give pluses and minuses. Why would they take the final? I would, if I was this person, there's called what if in Canvas, like if you make a 50%, and you can email me, but what I'll do is, I'm going to leave it up to you. You can always email me because I can check like before the final, should I take it or should I not? I'm always going to say you need to take it. I can't put in writing that you're exempt or you don't have to take it. I may say, I'm not exempting you. However, if you don't take it, a 50% would drop you down to a 92, which is still an A. Why in the world would that person bother to study and take it, etc.? That's the benefit of having a high grade. It might be that like you have this one, they definitely want to take it. They definitely want to do some bonus points to get it up to a B. But if their average was like this and they didn't do bonus points and they took it, I'm pretty sure it would probably raise it to a B. I'm not sure. I don't know. It depends on what they make on it. But that's called the 50% rule. And that the finals, even though it's 300 points, I think it's easier because there's nothing, you've already done the study guides. It's just randomly, the questions are random questions from other tests. There's no really way to study for it. If you do your study guides, it's open book, open notes. Remember all the tests you get to do twice? Now, I don't know who this is, just an S, so you don't know who it is either. So 61% doesn't sound too good, but if you look at their overall average, that's a high C. They can go up to a B just by taking a couple of those bonus things, even though they have like a low D on the last test. So test grades are not necessarily indicative of what you're going to make in the class. There's plenty of opportunity. You stuck it out this far. I had a couple students that dropped that could have made a B or an A if they had just stuck it out. I'm amazed that people go halfway or 2/3 of the way through and they don't stick it out. It's really odd. Like if you're going to drop early, at least get some credit for it. So let me end the screen share. Anybody have any questions on that? I know we haven't talked about anything about nutrition yet, but well, no. Let's go back. I'm still in screen share. I'm going to go back to. We'll get this out of the way. It's the same for all my classes. If you've got your computer, you could actually do it now. Probably should wait to the end. So I got to take a look at this. The 15 points, so I'm going to give you 20 just for being here. The others, nope, they have to go back and watch the video. I record them and post them. Remember then in the module section, if you ever miss one, then all the meetings are recorded here. Once again, we didn't have the last one. I'm pretty sick. I'm doing better now. Man, you find out a lot about medicine, being in an emergency room several times, and some doctors are pretty good, most are, some are not. Anyway, so tonight, like for example, what is today? I'm lost. Let's see.
Oh, today is Tuesday the 11th.
I didn't have a meeting, did I? Scheduled Tuesday the 11th. Yeah, thanks. I have the wrong date here. Hold on a second. Let me check something. We didn't have this one, right? March. We had this one. Let's see. We did it. Yeah. We missed the March one. Because, yeah, there's nothing here. So the 11th. Yeah. Bear with me 1 second. Otherwise, people will get totally confused if I don't do it right now. It's going to take a second. You have to know HTML program to do all this. I'm just going way back to the 11th. One second. A couple things actually to do with nutrition that we'll go over. Okay. I won't waste your time doing all 3 classes, but now see, okay, so I was going to show you those that aren't here. If you want to review it, go back to the modules, open this, the 11th. It'll be there. I'll put it on my YouTube channel, and you can link it to Zoom. Zoom has a website, and then actually download the video and tweak it. It'll be there. Just like, for example, we missed this one on February 28th. It's there. That's a link to YouTube. I got other stuff on there if you want some fun videos and stuff, little games. That goes to the Zoom website, which has captioning, but this is the actual video right here. You don't have to go anywhere. You just click that, and it's got all the information. And if you miss any other meetings, you want to watch them. I mean, I go way back, even in all this other. One other thing, Q&A. I bet I have tests. Yeah. Look at this. Go to the Zoom meetings, go to Q&A. Test number 3 review is here. That'll take you to the Zoom website, but actually show part of test number 3. Let me open it up.
Hey guys,
That's not my house. I wish it was.
the choice is right here.
Oh, here we go. See, look at this. I just guessed. This is part of the test right here. These are the actual questions. So you can actually go back and watch that and say, hey, I'm going to print screen. I'm going to print some of these out. But that is actually from, how do I get out of this? This is the Zoom website. See, they put a little caption. It's not real accurate, but probably because of my Texas accent. But that's available right here, and that's in the module section for test 3. All the tests have something associated with that. So if you go to modules, say, okay, how do I get to that again? You go to this right here in modules in your class, and you can go to the bottom one. It's different on your computer because I have a big widescreen. Yours may be compacted. If you click that, students sometimes say, well, it doesn't show anything. Well, you got to scroll down. You click that, say, oh, test 3, right there. Test 4 is in here somewhere. I don't know, it'll say test 4. If not, I'll go over it again. And then test 5, same thing. And that gives you part of the questions and the answers. Now, it doesn't mean that those are going to be the exact answers. Let me go back to the meeting. I got too many tabs open here, so bear with me. Oh, here we go. Stop the screen share. Okay. All right. So that'll help you a little bit. So if you do your study guides and print out some of that stuff from the other modules on test 3, you'll be in good shape. You say, oh, well, I didn't do that well. Then do some of the bonus assignments. I would spend a little bit of time. I didn't show you what I wanted to show you. Go back to screen share, but that was the, got distracted. We can do that little quiz to get it out of the way, or I can at least show you the, you can't see all this on yours because the quizzes are hidden. So quizzes, now, like for tonight, I'm not even gonna open it up because I don't know. It says due March. Yeah. Can't read right. Oh, I'm in the wrong semester. Where am I from? Wait a minute, I think I'm in the wrong class. Let me go back. I got too many classes going on. Okay, you don't have to worry about any of this. I'll show you how to do it. And you don't have to do it right now. Quizzes. This should be our third meeting. I might have to change it on each one because I have the wrong dates. So hold on, bear with me a minute. October 11th, what are we talking about? April 11th. No, it'd be the fourth one. Don't worry about these things right here because that's not relevant. Okay. See, it's Tuesday, April 11th, which is today. Available until April 16th. Hold on a second. I'm gonna give you the answers, that way you don't even have to. Yeah, it's not technically not due till Sunday, so that's actually the correct date. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure it's in your modules. So let's, so make a note of this. Okay, guys, pen and pencil, just jot it down. The code number 1's 232. Code number 2 is 333. And code number 3 is 411. That's the information number, isn't it? 411. Okay. Now don't open up the quiz now because it gives you like 2 minutes to take it. Don't do it yet because I have to make sure everything's right. But what will happen is I'm going to go back. I gotta hide part of this, so pretend like you don't see it. I don't want to show anybody's grades intentionally. Oh, it's still kind of locked up there. Okay. Oh, somebody already did it. That's good. It's fast. But what'll happen, this is the Zoom quiz for tonight. Yeah, April 11th. If a grade appears, that means you were here tonight. Instead of 15 points, I'm going to give you 20. Now, I do percentages. So an extra 5 out of 15 is 1/3. Instead of a 20, you get a 15. I think, let's see, you get 1/3, not 1/4, because 5, you get 1/3. So what'll happen is, I'm doing it for this person. So if you're there, you'll notice this. Now I changed that 100% to 133.33%. Because when we end tonight, now I don't have the correct dates on some of this. I guess I did on this one. If you have 100% here, I'm gonna go back and change it. That's the only way to do that. Those that aren't here are gonna have to go back and watch the video, get the numbers, and they'll get them right. It'll only be 100% because they're not here, so they don't get the bonus points. They can still get 100%. That's just for spending a little bit of time and being here. So you can take all those at the end. I've got to make sure they may be messed up on some of those, so they weren't apparently in that one. But I want to spend a few minutes because in these online classes, you just meet so little. It's I like face-to-face, although I don't have any problem with the online stuff. Face-to-face is completely different. There's so much in nutrition, it's almost overwhelming. That's why you got to look at the big picture and keep the basics in mind. In our last week, there was a little video on diabetes. I hope that opened your mind about how diabetes can be cured with nutrition. It's really shocking to me how little the medical establishment, not all of them, some do, but how they look at treating it, but they don't look at curing it. And sometimes the treating the symptoms makes the disease worse. Treating the symptoms does not treat the disease. They're not the same thing. Most medicines treat symptoms. Most surgeries treat symptoms. Now you have to do that. I'm saying that's not, you can't avoid that. But very often, it makes it worse. And I know we've been over this before, but this is sort of a pet peeve of mine. And I'll stand by this statement, although it's shocking to doctors that hear it, even diabetic doctors, but I can argue with the best of them. I can go into the research and talk about what's going on at the cellular level. Using insulin to treat diabetes is madness. It's insanity. If that's being done to you or a family member or a friend, you better find a new doctor, because all they're doing is treating the symptoms. They're making the disease worse. Insulin will eventually kill you. I know we've been over this before, but they go up on the dose, and eventually the medicine will go, oh, we can't help anymore. Sorry, medicine can't treat you, and you die. You go blind, you have fingers, legs, arms amputated. It's a horrible death. And that has to do with, once again, insulin cells. Remember, all cells use glucose. Cells need glucose and oxygen. Without glucose, it goes to zero, they die. If oxygen goes to zero, they die in a matter of minutes. So it sounds like, I know it's a little bit of a repeat, but it sounds like, keeping glucose level normal is the way to go. But it's the complete opposite of that. Glucose level needs to oscillate, to go up and down, just like heart rate needs to go up and down. Blood pressure needs to go up and down. That makes you healthier. You lift weights, strain, etc. That's stress. Low blood sugar is very healthy for the body. High blood sugar is not, but temporarily it's no big deal. If it stays high long enough, then at some point they call you diabetic or pre-diabetic or gestational diabetes or adult onset diabetes or many different names, juvenile diabetes. There's they say 2 types, there's actually 4. I don't have time to go into detail on this, but I want you to understand the big picture. What happens? You eat, glucose gets in the bloodstream, blood sugar level goes up. It's great. All cells use glucose, cells have food, everything's fine. They take it in, glucose level goes down, blood sugar level drops, so it didn't stay in your bloodstream to cause damage. If it stays in your bloodstream too long, it causes a lot of damage. It damages the inside of arteries, it affects the eyes, that's why blurry vision. It bonds with proteins and creates glycoproteins, which are very damaging when they're made abnormally. The body makes glycoproteins, but when you eat them, it's very damaging. Only about 10% of them can be used. But anyway, what happens is blood sugar goes up, all cells, blood, intracellular fluid, that's where the glucose and the nutrients are. Cells take in what they need. They don't overeat. We overeat. Cells don't overeat. So they'll take in the proper amount of glucose. It's a complex process that basically involves insulin. Blood sugar goes up, your pancreas secretes insulin, insulin level goes up. All cells have thousands of insulin receptors that detect insulin. What that means is glucose is available. So the cell, if it's hungry, will take in glucose. If it's not hungry, even the insulin receptors work, it won't take it in. If it overeats, it dies. So it leaves it in the bloodstream and ends up going to the liver and being converted to fat and put in fat cells, so you gain weight. But what happens if the cell's hungry, low in glucose, the insulin receptors work, they take in the glucose, everything functions fine. However, people that keep blood glucose level normal all the time always have little bits of insulin secreted. You need times, you always have to have some insulin, but you need times where there's low insulin. Because what happens is overexposure to insulin damages the insulin receptors. They become overworked. They become insulin insensitive. So what happens is glucose goes up and half the receptors don't work, so the cell doesn't take in the proper amount of insulin and it doesn't get enough. And so the glucose stays in the bloodstream too long and they go, oh, now you're a diabetic and your pancreas is trying to make more insulin and it's damaged the pancreas and the pancreas can shut down and leads to pancreatic cancer, pancreatitis, and then pancreatic cancer. Your body's doing all kinds of things to try to correct itself. But what caused the problem? Insulin. So you're diagnosed as diabetic. What do they use to treat you? Insulin. That insulin's what caused the problem. So insulin receptors burn out. It's not taking in glucose. They do an A1C test. It's high. They give you insulin. It works. You take insulin, glucose level goes down. You feel better. Your blurred vision goes away a little bit. You function better. And they go, we got your diabetes under control. Yes, only the symptoms. They treated the symptoms, but they made the disease worse because they gave you extra insulin. That extra insulin is going to bombard the remaining insulin receptors with too much insulin. They start burning out throughout your body, all 100 trillion cells. And so what happens is they go up on the dose. After 6 months, a year, they go up. And pretty soon, no amount of insulin will keep you alive, and then you have the cascade of symptoms that follow. What are you trying to do with insulin? You're trying to lower blood sugar level. Not eating lowers blood sugar level. You don't eat, blood sugar level goes down. Even in type 1 diabetics, it goes down slowly, but it goes down. When I say not eating, I mean time between meals. More diabetics should definitely eat maybe once a day, maybe every other day. There have been tons of videos on that. Not 3 meals a day. And they definitely shouldn't eat breakfast. Anybody says I'm diabetic, I have to eat breakfast. That's a ridiculous statement. Your blood sugar is high, so you eat breakfast. You're just going to go higher. You want to not eat. Food is very damaging. You need it to stay alive, but it needs to be controlled. I'm telling you, it can lead to all kinds of problems. That's an understanding of apoptosis and autophagy, which we've already talked about. So he said, if you're giving insulin once, no. I'm talking about people that take it, all the time, like diabetics. Doctors will say 3 times a day because they assume 3 times a day. Like 30 minutes before a meal, they'll have to inject themselves with insulin. 3 times a day, that's way too much insulin. That's assuming they eat 3 times a day. If you're diabetic, type 1 or type 2, eat once a day. That way, if you do have to take insulin, you have to take it once a day. But then again, once blood sugar drops, you don't need insulin. The pancreas is probably still making some insulin, but what happens is the damaged insulin receptors, they're not just burnt out. Some are just damaged. Well, what damages it? Insulin. Tissue can repair itself. You reduce the insulin level, the cell starts repairing insulin receptors. The cell becomes insulin sensitive. You function better. The body heals itself. Just like the last discussion we had, you can cure diabetes with nutrition, even type 1 diabetes to a degree. I don't have time to go into that. That's inherited, not totally cured, but there's a lot of evidence on beta cells with the pancreas. Like you can trigger the pancreas and the beta cells into producing insulin by having this lifestyle when normally they didn't do that. So it's complicated, but it's basically, if you know a diabetic, a pre-diabetic, or somebody's diabetic, that's the way to eat. It's not, they have all these seminars. If you're diabetic, this is the way you should eat. Eat fruits and vegetables. Yeah, you learn that in 4th grade nutrition. Don't eat too much. Yeah, you know that. But don't eat too much fat. Remember there's 3 food groups: fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. The ratio is irrelevant. It's how much you eat and the more time between your meals. That's what makes the difference. Not the food you eat so much. That does make some difference. Not as much difference as people would have you believe. That's just a myth. It's an absolute myth. I don't know why people can't see the big picture. I find it odd, and the kids should be taught that way too. Once again, kids should never eat when they're not hungry. I don't care the time of day. I don't care if they're skinny or overweight. That has to do with heredity. If they're not hungry, don't make them eat. It's fine. Right? That's fine. And so 6 o'clock, I've been cooking all day. That's fine. If they're not hungry, they're not hungry. Well, they want to eat at 9. Well, say you have to wait till tomorrow. They're not going to starve to death. Nobody, kids or adults, should be trained to eat 3 meals a day, and definitely to eat when they're not hungry. This is ridiculous. Physiologically, there's no biological, physiological reason for eating 3 meals a day. It's man-made, it's made up. You need the proper amount of nutrition over time, not daily, over time. You don't even need it daily. You need the proper amount of vitamin A, proper amount of calories, proper amount of this and that over time. You don't have to have it 3 times a day. You don't fill your car up 3 times a day. You don't put oil in your car 3 times a day. You don't put brake fluid in it 3 times a day because you drove around and used a little bit. You replace it every 4 or 5 months. Same thing with nutrition, vitamin A, vitamin C. You need a certain amount over time. The body has an amazing ability to adjust. And remember, I've used it, stand by this statement, and you used it before. Well, you didn't have, like dietitians evaluate your diet. Oh, you didn't have any of this that day. You didn't have any of that. And 2 days before you're missing this and that. That's ridiculous, but that's what dietitians do. Look at the big picture once again. Okay, so you don't eat anything for 2 months. Normal weight, you will starve to death. Some people might go after 6 weeks. Some might even go a little bit longer, but it's around 2 months. Not a healthy thing to do. That movie Alive talks about that because they had to eat the dead in a plane wreck. It's really interesting. It's not gory like you might think. It's really inspirational. It's a true story too. But anyway, they're showing it like day 40, day 41, the hunger drive. But anyway, what happens is, so you don't eat for 2 months. What do you die from? Lack of vitamin A? Go blind? No. Your vision's good. Calcium, your bones fall apart? No. None of that. You have enough B12? Yeah. You have all the vitamins and minerals to keep you alive. What you don't, what kills you is lack of glucose, lack of food. You die from starvation. You don't die from the deficiency from any vitamin, any mineral, any phytochemical. So apparently your body has reserves for at least 2 months, and it does. So you don't have to replace it daily. That's an incorrect consumption that people have. Like, well, I need this, I need that. You need the proper amount over time. Now, it will be symptomatic. Like, for example, if you're low in potassium, you can trigger muscle cramps and those kind of things. Symptomatic, but it's usually not life-threatening. But that's one of the things about nutrition that I think that people really get confused on. And we talked about it before. Just brief review on it once again. 90% of your weight as an adult is determined by heredity. Just like how tall you're going to be is determined before you're born. It's set. If you're going to be 6 foot, you're going to be 6 foot. I don't care how much you exercise, what you eat, what you do, you're going to be 6 foot. You might get affected half an inch either way. But if heredity says you're going to be overweight, you're going to be overweight. Now, you can be normal weight, but you have to fight it. They've identified certain genes that you inherit, and kids are like that too. But spreading the meals out is beneficial, even if you're normal weight. They've done studies on people that are normal weight, that overeat, that don't do things properly, and they think they're getting by with it. They are not. It's bad to drink cow's milk. Yeah, we'll talk about it in a second. Remind me of that in a second. But weight is only a small component of health. It's part of it, but it's not a huge component. Not like resting heart rate and things like that. Weight has more to do with heredity. And it's hard for some people to lose weight, and other people it's a little bit easier. But the studies on people that were normal weight that ate unhealthy and overate, they had the same amount of heart disease and cancer. They just didn't have the weight. So physiologically, you pay for it. They had the diabetes too. Doctors say, oh, weight gain causes diabetes. Not true. There are people overweight that don't have diabetes. If weight gain caused it, everybody overweight would have it. And if that was true, everybody skinny, nobody would have diabetes. People that are thin have diabetes. Now, weight gain is correlated with it, but it's not the cause of it. The cause effects are very hard to prove, although they'll say that. People gain weight and so all of a sudden they're diabetic. It has to do with nutrition more than it does the weight. But anyway, when we talk about dairy, somebody asked about cow's milk. There's a video coming up on a vegan bodybuilder, one of the first. It's really interesting. I think you'll like that video. It's a little discussion, a little quiz thing. It's real simple. But he's like world-class bodybuilder. That's a vegan. Now remember, there's 3 food groups: fats, carbs, and proteins. Dairy is not a food group. Fruits are not a food group. Vegetables are not a food group. You do not need dairy. You need protein, you need carbs, and dairy has that. Nothing wrong with dairy either. You don't need fruits, and you don't need vegetables. Now, you need carbohydrates. A carbohydrate is a plant. Fruits are plant, vegetables are plants. If you avoided both, it would be kind of weird. You'd have to eat a lot of nuts and grains, but you probably need some. But it's not a separate food group. The USDA food guide, called My Pyramid now, even USDA, they list 5 food groups. That's incorrect. And it's a government website. It's totally wrong. There's 3: fats, carbs, proteins. Dairy is not a food group. It's ridiculous. Nothing wrong with it. Milk. Somebody asked about milk. It's not necessarily bad for you, but about 60% of the people, Asians, it's a little bit higher, have milk allergies. They're allergic to milk, lactose intolerant. You may be lactose intolerant, not even aware of it. It's symptomatic, you're aware of it, but most people have a degree of lactose intolerant that it's the body's inflammation, kind of a reaction to it. It's way overrated. Kids do not need milk. They don't need a little carton of milk in elementary school or preschool. It's ridiculous. The milk industry has marketed it and promoted it beyond belief. They created a whole industry of cereal. Got to add milk to milk and everything, milk and this, milk and that. It's ridiculous. There's nothing wrong with it either, but it's not necessary at all. It's good for your bones. Well, calcium. There are many foods higher in milk than calcium. Calcium has some in it, but most of the time it's been fortified with calcium and vitamin D. And that's how they sell it. Fortified means they added it to it. It means it didn't have a lot in the beginning. They added it to it thinking, oh, you'll buy it. And they did. When people go, well, how do you get your calcium? How do you get your vitamin D? Well, you get it from all kinds of foods. You don't have to get it from milk. It's just added to the milk to sell the milk. Nothing wrong with the milk either, but it's not the healthiest food. Doesn't mean it's unhealthy. There's no such thing as healthy versus unhealthy. How much did you drink or how much did you eat? Did you have time between meals if you're lactose intolerant and things like that? But it has to do, it has to do with glucose level. When glucose level is low, all food's good for you. You need a variety, because it's not going to raise it up that it goes to fat cells. It'll raise it up, cells will take it in. Glucose level is somewhat high or normal or high and you eat, cells won't take it in. So it's converted to fat and put in fat cells. So that food's bad for you. Even though it may be milk or maybe an apple and an orange, if your glucose is high, that apple and orange, which has no fat, is converted to fat. Not much, but converted to fat, put in fat cells. So all of a sudden, apple and orange is bad for you. No, it has to do with your glucose level. Good food, bad food, it's no such thing. People can be good or bad because they have personalities, but food is always food. The food doesn't change. It's you. You got to measure yourself first to determine how the food interacts with you. You can't, like they do in a book, say, oh, this, how many calories of this, how many calories of that, this food has, they ate like 3,500 calories more than normal, so they gain a pound. No, that's what books say, 3,500. If their glucose is really low, 3,500 calories, none of it may go to fat cells. Say you eat in a couple of days. You don't gain any weight. Temporarily you do from eating the food, but none of it goes to fat cells, so you have no weight gain. Yet according to the book, they'll say, well, you gain a pound. If somebody else is normal glucose and they overeat 3,500 calories, that's pretty accurate. They'll gain a pound because cells don't take it in. It goes to fat cells. It's much more complicated than that, but I want you to understand the big picture of what is going on. Basically on diet, the more time you have between meals, the healthier you're going to be. People say, how much time? How much willpower do you have? That's what I would say. Day on, day off, very healthy. 2 on, 2 off, much healthier. 2 on, you're going to eat more. Eat healthy, exercise, have a healthy lifestyle. I just know this because having my gallbladder removed, which I never thought would ever happen, and finding a couple of ulcers and like that massive ulcer, God, that's why I can't eat throwing up. I've never done this in my entire life, but I went 21 days without eating during the last month and lost like 40 something pounds. It was very scary, but I knew nutrition. I wasn't going to die, but I literally was in a state where I could not eat. I couldn't eat one bite of anything, but I knew I'd get through it when the ulcers and the gallbladder issue was taken care of. And sure enough, I'm glad I knew about nutrition because being in the hospital, some of the advice you get is mind-bogglingly stupid. Not all of it, but a lot of it is just insanely stupid. And I'm like, sometimes you have to be an advocate for your own health when it comes to nutrition. Guys, I want to wrap it up in a couple of minutes. And then before you go and take that test, let me make sure that that it's set correctly. In that one class it is, I think it is in the other classes, but I have to double check that. Anybody have any questions on anything? You can use a microphone if you want. Anybody? So, get your bonus points. Before you take the final exam, get all those bonus points you can. And that way you get your grade way up there and you can say, hey, the 50% rule doesn't drop me down a letter grade. It might, if you say you have a B and you get 50%, it stays a B, you might not want to take it. But if you take it, it can raise it to an A, then I definitely would do that. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to end the meeting and I'm going to before you take that quiz, wait 5 minutes, unless you see it set correctly. And then when I see the grade, that means you were here. you'll get 133%. Those that not here, then they'll have to go back and watch it and take it because I tweaked the video and posted it later. Okay, guys? All right. Have a good evening, and I will talk to you later. Bye, everybody.
Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.